Hello and welcome to the Clarity Confessions. I'm Kaylin Asher, your host, and this is the place for clarity, inspiration, and business secrets from top female entrepreneurs. And today I'm so very pleased to be bringing you Ariel Frey. Ariel is an awesome girl who I had the pleasure of meeting in New York City at this amazing mastermind event at the Plaza. And I'm so excited to be sharing her wisdom and her story with you guys today. So a little bit more about her. Ariel is an intuitive success coach for visionary coaches and service-based entrepreneurs. It is her mission to help women around the world create the business and life of their biggest dreams. After being a server and working in the restaurant industry for 11 years, she made the decision to completely change her life and in 3 months had her first $23K month. She has built her business from nothing to multiple six figures in sales in under a year, is on track for $1 million, and she's just getting started. Ariel, thank you so much for being on the Clarity Confessions.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be able to talk with you and your audience.
Yeah. So I'd love to dive right in and just hear a little bit more from you about how you got started on this entrepreneurial path.
Totally. So it was about 4 years ago, and I decided that I was going to be an entrepreneur. So I started from where I was with what I had, and I had a certification as a Reiki master teacher. So I got myself an office, and I decided that I was going to try to start getting clients. So I did what anyone who doesn't know what they're doing in business does, and I put up flyers at Whole Foods to market myself. And that really didn't work. So I started exploring online business and online marketing, and I got obsessed with it and learned everything that I could and tried to get my hands on whatever I could. And I did that for about 3 years while I was working in the restaurant industry as a server. And then from there, I found mindset work, shifted my mindset to start to believe that, it was possible for me to really create a business around what I'd learned. And from there, I started teaching people what I had learned about online business, and that's really where it all started.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can totally relate to that I started, thinking as an entrepreneur in this kind of local business sort of capacity. And then as I dipped my toes in that, I really just got obsessed with the marketing and the capacity that opens up when you go into the online space. And it was more about building the business than the actual business I realized that I was in love with. And it seems like things like that kind of came up for you too.
Totally. Yeah, I love building the business, and that's why my business, I think, became about building businesses.
Yeah, you get to do that all the time now, which is
totally
awesome. So I'd love to start with a round of sort of rapid fire questions. Are you ready for them?
I'm so ready.
So when did you get clarity about your current business?
Yes. So I got clarity about my current business when I got really real about who I am and what I desire, and when I started really living in my truth.
So describe your business in 10 words or less.
Intuitive, joyful, mega success, global impact, transformational, and for the visionary.
Why do you love the work you're doing?
I love to see my clients create transformation in all areas of their life and create big shifts that they didn't even realize were possible. And I'm all about really being the tide that rises all the boats and helping other women do the same thing. So I know that by doing that and by helping other women do that as well, we're really creating a ripple effect of positive change in the world. And that's always been my dream. So I'm really loving that that's my reality now.
Oh, that's so cool. I feel the same way. Like when you can see that the work you're doing is having this, like you said, that ripple out effect, there's just nothing like that.
Totally.
So what makes you feel the most successful?
Honestly, it's when a client has a really big win. And, I think in the past it would have been like, when I make $20K a month, or when I don't know, get that new piece of furniture or go on that trip. But it's really when I see my clients hit their big numbers and create the big success that they wanted.
Yeah. So what personal practices or self-care do you make time for regularly?
Oh my gosh. I love my self-care practices. So I love to sage my house with like sage, or Palo Santo, just like clearing the energy there. do journaling, exercising every day, getting connected to spirit, doing gratitude work, doing mindset work, manifesting work, being in nature, and then, of course, sleep.
Yeah, so those are an important ones.
Yeah, so those are all things that I make time for pretty much every single day.
What is the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
I really think that it's that I get to be so creative, because I'm such a creative person just to begin with. And I love that I get to, be creating new content all the time, be, dreaming up ways for my website to look like, or like that I want my website to look like, or sales funnels, all kinds of things. So I just get to be really creative, and that with that creativity comes limitless earning potential.
Yeah, that's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to balance that, what is the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur?
There's two things that come to mind around this. And the first thing is really not allowing what's happening outside of the business to affect what's happening in my business. So whether that be, personal, or like in the beginning, it was very much financial. I just had to create a different reality in my mind, and then use that to propel me forward, and not let it affect the actions that I was taking in my business. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing that I think has been such a huge lesson for me along this journey is to always remember that, like, my mind, my body, and my soul, those things all have to come first if I want to truly support other people at the level that I desire to. And I've always been the kind of person that always thinks of everybody else first. So this has been a huge lesson for me to really always be going back to the self-care practices, and really tuning in and saying, okay, what do I need today first to really be of service to everybody else?
That's so important, and something that I think women especially struggle with is to make sure they're taking care of themselves. And especially when you're an entrepreneur, you are your business. And if you're not, giving to yourself first, there's going to be nothing left for you to give to anybody else.
Totally.
And so lastly, last rapid fire question. What is one word that sums up your business mission?
Impact.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I love hearing this from the women I talk to. What did the first year in your business really look like? Now, I know I've heard your story, but I'm sure there's lots of people who are super curious about this shift that you made from being in the restaurant industry, and then all of a sudden this like meteoric rise into the coaching world.
Totally. So I was in the restaurant industry for 11 years. I started when I was really young, but I had been serving for, 4 years or so. And I knew that I wanted to be, successful. I just wasn't entirely sure how to make it happen. And once I finally, made the mindset shifts, got the high level support that I wanted, I just went for it with everything that I had. And, it was really fast. I was hustling a lot. I was working a lot. I was launching things and, putting content out there, but it was really exciting. It was really exciting to invest in myself and be, making waves and be, being visible and creating a name for myself. But yeah, it was a lot of creating things, putting myself out there, continuously putting myself out there, reminding myself that, the people who needed to hear my message would, and continuing to, take action and hold the faith. And
so what called to you about coaching in and of itself? There's obviously, because you said you were obsessed with like online marketing and online businesses. What was it about coaching that really pulled you in?
Yeah, so I've always been really obsessed with personal development as well. I had the Reiki Master Teacher certification. And so I've always been really intuitive too. And I knew that I wanted to use the intuition and like the personal development pieces and like help people change their lives. I just didn't feel confident enough, 4 years ago to do that. And I, at the time, hadn't really seen anybody necessarily using the intuition and the personal development pieces on, I don't want to say a smaller scale, but almost on a smaller scale. I had only seen, people like Gabby Bernstein do it. And at the time I was like, oh my gosh, can I do that? Or like, what knowledge do I have? And that's really where I was like 4 years ago. And so, but I was still obsessed with it. And so, once I started doing that mindset work, I actually didn't start off getting my first high-level clients through coaching. It was actually that I was teaching them the technical kind of setup pieces, like the structural parts of business. And so that's why I always tell my clients, start from where you are with what you have, because it's going to evolve and change, but just like get yourself moving and grooving right now and start creating the life you want right now. And so that's what I did, is I basically used what I had, which was all this knowledge about like the technical back-end setup pieces of online business and marketing, and I helped people actually put those together, and those were like those first few clients. And then from there, I started using the mindset work that I had, and additional personal development and coaching courses and things like that I had taken, and I started moving it and putting that into the rest of it. And so then it just kind of evolved, and I really realized that coaching specifically and using the personal development piece of business along with my intuition is so powerful for my clients.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love hearing that, because I hadn't heard that piece about what it was specifically about coaching. So thank you for sharing. And I think so many people can relate to that, because I know for me, I've talked with so many women who've expressed interest in coaching, and then there's this huge self-doubt, lack of self-confidence thing that comes into it. Like, who am I to coach anyone on anything? But we all have a nugget of knowledge in there. Like you said, you started with what you had. You had these online business skills that people were hungry for. And so you shared that. And then as you personally develop the mindset and all those more intuitive pieces of business, then you're able to teach that. And so I think that was a really powerful lesson you shared, that, start with what you've got, and then it can always grow and transform from there.
Yeah, and my business is always still growing and changing. I didn't always have the intuitive part in there, even though I was really intuitive, and my clients knew that. I wasn't, at a certain point, I wasn't ready to put that out into the world. Oh, hey, I connect with spirit, and it is part of the work that I do. But that has evolved, and I think your business can continue to change and grow as you do, and that's the best way to do it, because then you're really in your truth and you're being authentic.
Yeah, and honestly, who wants to have the exact same business in like 3 or 5 years? It's like,
yeah.
The whole fun of it is watching the evolution process, and so I think it's good to be okay with that, because I think a lot of women are so hungry for just give me my thing, let me figure it out, and then I'll just do that forever. And that's not really where you want to be. You want to be in that space of creativity and transformation.
Absolutely.
So what are you most excited about right now that's going on for you in your life or your business, either one?
Yeah. So I'm getting ready to launch a group program. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm also really excited because we're planning some travel. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're planning some travel to the Maldives and to London, and then to Harry Potter World, because why not? So we're excited about that.
That's awesome. And so I'd love to also hear from you, like, what is the best piece of advice that you've received that you'd love to pass along?
Yeah, so the best piece of advice that I've received is very simple, but it's to remember to always be yourself. And this really stuck with me. I actually got this advice from this woman who's now in spirit. She's passed, and it was a very funny thing how I met her. My dad's a mailman or a letter carrier, and she was on his mail route, and she was an older lady. She actually went into the hospital. And I would visit her in the hospital. I think she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or something. And I was like 14 years old, and I would go visit her in the hospital in like our small town, and I didn't even have a car. Like, it was just like the weirdest thing. I don't know why I did, but I just felt this connection with her. And I just remember her like looking at me like one of the last times I saw her, and she said, remember to always be yourself. And I've carried that with me for so many years, and it's really served me so well, because I just feel like that's, you know, it's so much about what creates that spark in each of us. It's so much about what creates that it factor in each of us, where, you know, you see someone and you're like, oh man, like she's got it in, you know, in her area of expertise. Like I just find that when we really always do remember to be totally true to us, we stand out and we really create more of what we want in the world.
For sure. And so what form has that taken for you in your own business, like bringing that advice to life? Are there certain like conscious decisions that you've made?
Yeah, totally. I always tune into what I want, and I always ask myself before I make a decision, okay, what do I really want? What is the purpose of this? What is the why behind this? Why is this a really big desire for me? So on a kind of internal level, I do that, and then that really is projected into the rest of my business through the programs that I offer, or, you know, the content that I post, and even my branding. So my branding is like totally me, you know, and the photo shoot that I've done, or the photo shoots that I've done, it's totally me. And so I think that I use it in everything to always try to be in my truth and be really conscious of what I really want and what I really desire, and always coming back to that.
I think that's such an important lesson for women, especially when they're starting out, because they'll so often see someone out there that they're idolizing and just want to emulate them. Just like, I want their website, I want the look, I want everything, and they want to just become a version of them. And it's not really until you can find your own voice and your own look and your own feel and just bring yourself into it that you're going to really find that momentum that we're all looking for in business.
Yes, 100%. It's so true. I always think of our businesses as kind of like these like living, breathing things. And the more that we make them an extension of ourselves, like a true extension of who we really are, the more that they stand out in, you know, whatever industry you're in. And yeah, the more that they create, the more that you create so much more momentum.
So lastly, one final question. I'm a visionary person. I love looking forward to all the good stuff that's coming down the pipeline, whether it's actually in the works or just, you know, something I'm imagining. So I wanted to wrap up with, what does the future hold for you? Like, where do you think you're going to be in, let's say, even 5 years if we jump forward?
Totally. I love this question. So I'm going to phrase this in a way that's living as if.
Yes, please
do. So I have a multi-million-dollar company. I'm speaking internationally. I have a New York Times bestseller. I'm helping hundreds of thousands of women around the world create transformation in their lives, and I'm really doing everything that I love every single day.
That sounds perfect. I think that, and just judging by what you've done in this past year, this short amount of time, I have no doubt that within 5 years, half a decade, all of that and more is possible for you. You're such a powerhouse.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Of course. It's the truth. So I know you are a woman of action. And so is there anything that you would like to ask of the listeners today, or challenge our listeners with?
Yeah, I love this. So one thing that I love to do is ask myself, what is out of my comfort zone right now in my business? And I find that the things that I write down are like really normal things that I'm surprised that they're outside of my comfort zone, but sometimes they are. And so what I would encourage the listeners to do is write down, you know, a list of the things that are really outside of their comfort zone right now in their business, maybe 5 to 10. And I usually write down about 5. And then decide to take action on those things.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I do that, a similar thing where I ask, like, what would my most successful self do? And it's often that whole list of things that I don't want to do, but I know that I would be doing in that mindset of success.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really powerful lesson. I think all of you should make time, just a couple minutes, jot down what are those things that are outside your comfort zone and then take action. That's great. And so lastly, Ariel, where can our listeners connect with you?
Totally. So they can go to server to sixfiguresuccess.com, and that's with like the letter 6 or the number 6, sorry. and server to sixfiguresuccess.com. And then you can pick up I've got like a little free audio training there, and that's where you can stay connected to me. So you'll get some fun content. It's like a 20-minute audio training, and then you'll be able to stay connected with me from there.
Fantastic. And we'll include that link below this interview as well, so people can easily find you and grab all those goodies that you mentioned. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom. This has been awesome, Ariel.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have shared it and to have been on here with you, and I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Take care, girl. Bye.
All right. Bye.